Log stretch operations. This video will show the different stretch operations available in Emeraude. They are full log range, zonal, and multipoint. All stretch operations require an anchor point. This means that the data, typically at the top of the interval of interest, needs to be on depth. In this case, using the CCL and the well schematic, it is clear that the tool string is off depth with respect to the SSD. The depth shift option is used to bring the two passes on depth. Zooming out, observe that the two SSDs are off with respect to the CCL. This is an indication that a stretch operation is required. From the Edit QA/QC tab, the drop list next to Stretch shows the various options that can be applied interactively. Start from full log range. Use the manual entry option accessed from the Depth Scale button. The Stretch tab shows that this operation uses a stretch coefficient and an anchor point. The latter is the top SSD depth. The coefficient can be calculated based on the depth of the anchor, the endpoint of which, in this case, is a CCL feature at the bottom of the interval, and finally the target depth, which in this case is the bottom SSD. The full log range option applies a constant stretch to all the passes from the active survey. The top and bottom SSDs are on depth. However, the CCL signal from the middle SSD shows an offset with respect to the well sketch. This is an indication that a constant stretch magnitude for all the passes is not a good choice in this case. The full log depth stretch can be reset by setting the coefficient to 1. The other two options, the zonal and multipoint depth operations, are applied per pass, as opposed to the previous, which is global. Therefore, it is better to display the active pass only. First, look at the multipoint depth correlation option. The first click corresponds to the anchor point, and it will put a small cross on all tracks at that depth. The second click is on the log depth to be moved, and the third is the target depth, both represented by squares. After the third click, the preview of the stretched log in black shows the changes compared to the original log highlighted in pink. At any point, it is possible to cancel the operation. Note that the bottom SSD is still off depth. Other tracks can be used for depth matching purposes, for example, the gamma ray, caliper, or the spinner. After the anchor is set, any subsequent operation requires 2 clicks, one on the current depth and another on the target depth. Once the stretch depth is completed, click on OK in the multipoint correlation window. The table showing the selected points can be accessed from the Pass Information button. From here, it is possible to edit the points, add new entries, and apply the current stretch to all the passes. The whole operation can be undone by clicking on Reset. The final stretch option is the Zonal Approach. Compared to the multipoint depth stretch, the user selects the data interval and then moves the mouse up or down depending on whether this log interval needs to be stretched or compressed. This operation can be applied in one track only, as opposed to the multipoint depth stretch, where the whole operation can be reset. With the zone stretch, it is only possible to reset the last operation, if more than one well was applied, as in this example. The details of the zone stretch and the reset option for the last operation are accessed from the Pass Information button. This concludes the video on log stretch operations. There is a separate how-to video on the depth shift that complements this material.